guys, there's only really one place to start, having a former Celtic player on in Jackie McNamara. Obviously, the really sad news at the end of the weekend there that Bertie Auld had passed away at the age of 83. I think anyone who even spent a minute in his company would have a story to tell. Jackie, I'm taking it that you have a fair few stories to tell about Bertie.
Yeah, I've been in his company a few times. And he is great company. He's funny. You see the wee clips and stuff and emerging online and different stories with him. But my father was actually lucky to play under him as well when he was at Hampden. So, and I think over the years, Bertie, his stories that he tells, and it's sad. It's you see the rest of the Lisbon Lions. I was at the Hydro a couple of years ago and they had their event on. They're all on stage and it was very emotional. The ones that are missing, and these guys are sorely missed. And Bertie's a big loss to the football club and to everybody that knows him.
Yeah, I take it when you joined the club in the mid-90s, they would still have been relatively young, the Lisbon Lions. What was your relationship with them when you first signed?
It was great, even when John Clark came in as a kit man. In the second season I was there, second year I was there. And they used to come in, Jinky used to come in and see John, and the guys would come in and see him and stuff. And they were great characters. They were brilliant to have around the club. And as I said, over the years, you got to know them more and more through, obviously, with John, the connection with John being in there. So it was, we were very fortunate to have that.
Euan, goes without saying that it's a real, sad loss to Celtic. I think, the world as well. The world's a much duller place without Bertie Auld, and probably a less funny place and a worse off place without Bertie Auld.
It's honestly, it's heartbreaking, man. I was never fortunate enough to meet Bertie, despite staying in Maryhill, which I'm told he was always about somewhere. But it's just really, really sad. I think John put it really well when he said he was like a heart-thumping kind of link between the past and now. And it says so much that he's one of these guys that, obviously, his heyday was in the 60s, but every fan from a generation afterwards knew him and felt like they knew him personally. And maybe in many cases did, because he was always outside Celtic Park after games. He was always, really, really happy to meet folk and have conversations and tell jokes. And yeah, just a heartbreaking loss. I really, really wish I'd met him, but he lives on through the stories and the tribute still be paid to him going forward. And for what it's worth, I think there should be a statue of him outside either Celtic Park or somewhere in Maryhill, just because of the man that he was and what he contributed to not just Celtic but different football and communities around Scotland. He was a huge, huge influence. So really, really sad loss. Definitely one of my favourites, and I'm sad to see him go.
Yeah, I met him once inside the ground and he made a comment about me being in a grow bag all summer because I'm so tall. And my dad actually messaged me the other night and reminded me, as if I needed reminding, that we'd actually bumped into him outside Celtic Park, a game about probably 10, 11 years ago. And he stood and spoke to us for about 10, 15 minutes. Just a guy that was never in a rush to get away from you whenever he spoke, and you had his full attention as well, which I really liked. Is there any Bertie stories that spring out, Jackie, for any you were part of or any you heard from other people?
Just trying to remember. There was kind of that many, that you hear with. My dad had said a few as well. That he was a manager at Hibs with his cigars and stuff. And I had a wee kind of ding dong with my dad when I heard someone talking about it. There, my dad ended up having to walk back to the ground from the training ground, which was a couple of miles. But yeah, I think all this stuff you hear and you see them doing different events. I was actually in his company. I think it was 3 years ago when the PFA do. He was at my table, and I could just sit and listen to him all night. He was great fun, and his energy, in the table, and you just listen to every word that he would say. His stories were fantastic.
Yeah, so we pass on our condolences to the family and friends of Bertie Auld, and a sad loss for Celtic and everyone else. We'll move on to another game at Hampden this Saturday, Celtic against St Johnstone. Jackie, what was the week like in the lead up to a game at Hampden when you were playing at Celtic?
It depends who it was. If it was a derby, then obviously there's a lot more spotlight on it. I think they'll just be keeping it, the same as the league games, just focus, keeping the players grounded. I think first and foremost, we're making sure everybody comes back unscathed from international duty. That'll be the man's main concern and how they're all feeling, making sure they're rested up, ready, which will be a tough game on Saturday. They're all St Johnstone are the holders of that. They had a good season last year in the cups, and Saturday will be no different. I think the first goal is going to be crucial again.
Could you notice an extra spring in players' steps in training in the lead up to games at Hampden? Yeah,
and I think they will just now, because the confidence will be sky high. The run they're on, the way they're playing, he's got competition. As we said the last number of weeks, he's got real competition in there for places. Players are stepping in and they're taking the jersey, and everybody will be desperate to play on Saturday, and that's refreshing for the way a few months ago.
Euan, are you looking forward to this game? Any worries about this game on Saturday?
Only worry is about traffic, because it's the first game me and my dad are going to together for a wee while, so that'll be nice. St Johnstone are always tricky, but I would say the last time we played them, we gave them a pretty convincing doing-over. I don't really think they brought an awful lot in an attacking sense, so whether Callum Davidson is cognizant, whether Callum Davidson is cognizant of how kind of toothless they were at Celtic Park, and he's maybe going to change something up for Hampden, you would suspect that he probably would. They're still a good squad. They're still a very well drilled squad, and of course defensively, that's kind of their main attribute. They're tough to get at a lot of the time, but I'm confident going into it. I think if you bar last season, I suppose if you include last season to an extent, the Hampden record's good. And for Ange Postecoglou, this is a chance at his first trophy in European football. He is not taking this for granted, and we're going to see a very, very strong squad line up on Saturday night. So I'm just excited about it.
Yeah, 15 wins in a row we've had at Hampden, which is just an incredible record. I think that the last defeat was April 2016 against Rangers. In your days, maybe, Jackie, semi-finals could be quite tough because maybe the stadium would be not quite full. A lot of the time you'd have to maybe create your own atmosphere, a bit eerie sometimes. It's not going to be eerie on Saturday night at all. 35 to 40,000 Celtic fans, well-oiled Celtic fans as well, given the kick-off time. It's going to be totally different, isn't it? I mean, the players should be thriving in that atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that will help them. The atmosphere will definitely help them. You see last year with no atmosphere, no crowd, it's totally changed back to what it should be, and that will help the players. That will help the players. Give them that extra boost and want to do well and the energy. And obviously they'll come in and they'll try and frustrate and slow the game down, break it up behind the ball. So I think that's why the first goal is crucial, because then they have to change their game plan, and come out and have a go.
Euan, is it a worry that so few players in this Celtic team have experienced a full Hampden? I mean, I went through off the top of my head: Callum McGregor, James Forrest, Nir Beaton, Tom Rogic, Joe Hart as well has already experienced a full Hampden, and that's kind of it. I mean, would that be a concern for you going into this game?
It's the opposite for me. I think the pressure's off them to a degree. It'll be a really, really exciting occasion for them. I sort of cast my mind back to there's the last semi-final I went to Hampden when Elyounoussi, he was playing in front of a packed Hampden for the first time. He was fantastic in that game against.
Was that the Hibs game?
Yeah, 5-2. Yeah. I think that one finished. I think it's a proving ground rather than like a wrench or anything, or any sort of weight on the players. I think if they have the mentality to sign for Celtic, then they have the mentality to handle these big games. And this is what they're here for. This is what Ange is here for, as well as European football. It's these big occasions. I just wanted to quickly ask Jackie, with the semi-finals being at Hampden, does that take the occasion away from the final somewhat, or what's the players' perspective on that? Does it feel like two finals in a way, or kind of what's the thinking there?
No, actually, I think it kind of sets it up for the final. you know, because you're playing there. Whereas if it's at the home ground or a away ground, it's not quite the same. At least it gives it that occasion that you want, you know, and you don't want to lose there. You want to win. You want to be back there for the final. So I would say it was more a positive than a negative playing the semis there as well. What you don't want is you know, turn up there and there's no crowd there. You know, it's like 15,000, 20,000, you know, for a semi-final, and it's not quite the same atmosphere. But that's not going to be the case on Saturday.
Was it a big deal for you as a Scottish player playing at Hampden? You know, a full Hampden for the first time.
Yeah, I think as a kid, you know, I used to go to the Scotland games with my dad when I was a young boy and watch. You know, I was at the qualifiers when we beat Australia and McAvenny scored. I was at that match. My dad actually got lifted that night when we were standing watching.
Your dad did?
Yeah. It was me and my brother and my dad and his pal. And it was obviously the crash barriers at the time in the Celtic end. And my dad was trying to get me to see the game. I couldn't up. And they put me out to the side bit, you know, the pathway. And the policeman came over and says, "Look, get back in. You can't stand there." And my dad said a few things, and then one thing's led to another. I'm watching a game with my brother and my dad's pal. He's away down at the police station.
Did he give it the old, do you know who I am, Pat? Or anything
no,
like that?
my dad would never do that. No, he'd never do that. But we had to go and wait till the end of the match. McAvenny scored it. We had to wait till the end of the match and go round to the local police station and get him. So that was some good memories. Better memories are actually playing in them and scoring, you know, in cup finals. They're better memories into that Celtic end.
Yeah, I'm assuming for some of the players Celtic have got playing on Saturday, it's not going to be as much of a big deal as it would for like a Scottish player grown up all his days. I mean, Anthony Ralston, I think, would, although he did play Monday night, so I suppose it's a bit different, but I don't think he's played started the game at a full Hampden yet. I could be wrong there. So I'm assuming it'd be a huge deal for him, but someone like Jota, you know, even Abada, Kyogo, it's just really going to be another match, isn't it, Jackie? Well, a big match, but just another match. Yeah,
but I think the atmosphere will help. You know, it's a national stadium. They'll turn up there and see a crowd. It's different if it's half empty. You know, and try to create your own atmosphere, because it's not a brilliant stadium. It's not like Celtic Park or playing there for atmosphere. But when I think you seen the other night, it was, you know, the Denmark game. It was fantastic atmosphere, and you know, when it's going right, it'll be a good event.
Yeah, I mean, Euan, we've got this amazing Hampden record, 15 wins in a row, but St Johnstone also have a really good one. They won 4 games there last season. They won both domestic cups. They've not lost a domestic cup tie since before coronavirus was even a thing back in early March of 2020. So they're going into this with an incredible record as well. Something's got to give on Saturday.
Yeah, it's the irresistible force against the immovable object kind of thing. It's going to be a really interesting one, purely because the form of both teams at Hampden is, I mean, something's got to give. I'm going to see if I can fit in any more cliches in the next couple of minutes, but it's exciting to see who's going to blink first, really. Again, that's number one. Because, you know, St Johnstone, they've got recency kind of on their side, and they won't be at all fear going into the weekend at all. And Callum Davison, obviously, he's tasted success with St Johnstone at Hampden twice now. No, it's going to be a really, really good game. And I suspect that actually, you know, for all they're kind of perceived as a defensive team, I think the occasion will get to them, certainly, but in a positive sense for them. And that, you know, they weren't really giving us much to worry about at Celtic Park, but I think it's going to be totally different on neutral ground. I really do. And again, I think they're a good team and a quite well supported team. And but I don't fear them. I don't, and that's not a complacency thing. I just think, you know, the form that Celtic are on, what it means to so many of these players, you know, experiencing the full Hampden for the first time, and what it means for the manager. There's could be absolutely no equivocation at all in the message that'll be, we have to win this. And we have to get to a final, and we have to represent ourselves well, because this is a new era for Celtic, and it's the best possible way to start it. So, no, I'm confident. But that's not to say I don't think St Johnstone won't be a tough test. So, you know, both things could be true.
I just think it's the perfect opportunity for this group of players. You know, first game back after the international break, under the lights, Saturday night, first semi-final, so a chance to be the first team into the final. And then we can sit back on Sunday if we win, and we can see how, you know, a Rangers in a bit of turmoil get on against Hibs at Hampden. We know how those games have gone in the past. So, you know, a real opportunity. The pitch as well, Jackie, it looked brilliant on Monday night. It's massive as well. You'll probably tell me it's one of the biggest pitches you played on. Surely that should suit our expansive passing football as well.
Yeah, it should. I mean, it's all set up for a good match. But I think the good thing is, you know, from experience, when we won the League Cup in 97-98, it set it up for the season. The new manager come in with Janssen. You know, and we won, although the final was at Ibrox at the time. But winning that first trophy with a new team, you know, a new manager come in with players, it will give Ange and the players such a lift for the league campaign as well. So I think it'd be good for them, you know, to get a positive result.
Yeah, we asked that to Scott McDonald last week. That winning that first trophy, does it make a huge difference, especially as you say, to a new group of players? It really gives them, you know, something to grip onto and say, you know, that's a reward for the effort we've put in.
It takes the pressure off the manager as well. You know, he's coming in there and winning his first trophy that he can. You know, after the start that he's had, the difficulties that he's had with players, and the transition there. So it takes the pressure off him. You see that, you know, to talk about Steven Gerrard, only one trophy in 9. Had he won something along the way, you know, it takes the pressure off certain bits of his campaign. And it gives the players such a lift and the fans, you know, for the rest of the season.
Euan, I realise this may be a bit of a premature question with us still, you know, we've got 2 wins away from a trophy, but do you think this is a Celtic squad and a team that's ready to win silverware?
I think it's certainly getting there. I think the signs are good. I think the positivity they play with, the fact that they've been able to get over these kind of early niggles and difficulties and inconsistencies and turn it into such a great run of form is really, really encouraging. And nothing breeds more confidence like winning games, so especially winning big games. So, no, it's an interesting question, but ultimately, I just think the task is really, really clear. And I think in terms of the squad we have, there's definite quality. You could list at least 6 or 7, you know, match winners within that squad and bench, even within the starting lineup. There are players there who have the technique and the quality to win games on their own. So yeah, I'd say so. But then it's maybe a premature question, and you know, I'm happy to be. Well, no, I'd be extremely unhappy to be made to look like an idiot afterwards. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But sorry, short answer, yes.
Yes, thanks for that.
Yes.
I feel the same way. I think the team is ready, and I think they're showing the real positive signs. And I just keep going back to it. I think Saturday night is set up perfectly for Celtic to not just win, but to really put in a stylish performance. Despite the recent run we've had of wins, I think we're still probably yet to see that real blockbuster performance when we, you know, really blitz a team 4 or 5-0 and in a big game. I know we've won games already, but you know, in a proper cup semi or a final, and it'd be amazing if it happened this Saturday. It would just get, you know, everyone really ready to go for this next chunk of games that we've got, the 12 matches up until Rangers at the start of next year. It'd be the perfect way to come back for the international break. You know, someone mentioned the Hibs game a couple of years ago at Hampden, same kick-off time, 5:30 on a Saturday night. That was one of my favourite games that season under Neil Lennon, and there were actually plenty of good wins. It was just a brilliant game. The atmosphere was amazing. Celtic were excellent. El Yunusi was unreal. And hopefully on Saturday we can see a similar you know, performance, but obviously the result as well. We want to be in that cup final and give ourselves an opportunity. And even if it's up against Rangers, you know, it's one you would probably fancy right now for this Celtic team. And we will have a big preview tomorrow. I'm going to pick my team and also chat to someone, a St Johnstone fan, to get the scoop on the Saints as well. But for now, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much, Jackie and Euan. Thanks everyone for watching this. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It would really help us out, and we'll speak to you soon.